Hey guys, it's Greg. Last night on the Golden Globes, they released a trailer for an upcoming TV show called Fosse Verdon, which is about legendary Broadway choreographer Bob Fosse, played by Sam Rockwell, and his relationship with the legendary Broadway star Gwen Verdon, played by Michelle Williams. Um, it's based on a book by Sam Wasson that I happened to read last year, so I thought this was a really good time to talk about it. I wanted to talk about this book because, well, first of all, the trailer looks really good. I'll put a link to it below. Um, and Michelle Williams is a wonderful actress, and Sam Rockwell is a really good actor. So I'm very curious to see what they do with their characters. But also, I really have been wanting to talk about this book ever since I read it. I have a hard time reconciling how I feel about it. So hopefully talking this out will help me a little bit. To be clear, I don't entirely have a problem reconciling how I feel about this book because of author Sam Wasson's writing. Um, Fosse is thoroughly researched and detailed without feeling stuffy or inaccessible. It reads like a story, and that part's really good. I do have a problem with the way he ends the book, and I'll get to that later. It's not a spoiler. It can't be a spoiler. This is nonfiction. Going into this book, I only knew Bob Fosse by his reputation as a temperamental perfectionist and womanizer, who was also one of Broadway's most legendary choreographers and directors. His impact is still felt today on Broadway. He changed everything when it comes to choreography and the way shows can be done. So I don't want to understate that. He really did have a huge impact. He also directed the film version of Cabaret, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So he's got that going for him. What I learned about those descriptors that I used earlier, temperamental, perfectionist, womanizer, was that they're actually gross understatements. Temperamental means he was frequently abusively mean to anyone around him. Perfectionist means that he was never satisfied, prone to fits of despair, and drove his crew to dangerous levels of work. And womanizer means that he was a sexual predator. Now, I'm not overstating this. He repeatedly propositions women who are auditioning for him and tries to coerce them into his bed. If they try to decline politely, he tells them that all of his leading ladies sleep with him. The implication, of course, being that if they don't sleep with him before, during, and after the project that they want to work on, they can't be his leading lady. I mean, why else would he bring this up during the audition process? And women who are not auditioning for him get the same treatment. Basically, any woman who is not a relative of his is someone he tries to force into his bed. Any story about him coercing a woman made me feel really queasy and uncomfortable as I was reading this book. It's nothing short of appalling that at no point did anybody question what Bob Fosse was doing or try to stop him. And while I appreciate that Wasson doesn't interject his own opinion into the book, he kind of lets you make up your own mind, I think I really needed that release. I needed somebody to say, this was actually not okay. And I needed help processing what I thought I knew about Bob Fosse with the reality. So that brings me to the end. And again, this is not a spoiler. It's nonfiction. It can't be a spoiler. Bob Fosse was so insecure and preoccupied with fear of death that Wasson structures the book by naming each of the chapters with how much time Bob Fosse has left to live. So you start out with decades, then you get to years, then you get to months, and then weeks, and then days as you get closer to the end of his life. And when you finally get to the end, Bob Fosse's death, it really is the end. The book just ends. There's nothing. It literally just stops. At first, I thought there was a printing error or something, but I looked online and there are a lot of reviews that complain about the same thing. The book just ends. There's no conclusion. And I really think I needed that. I needed to hear about how we can look back at Fosse's legacy as the complicated thing that it is. I needed to hear from people who have a modern perspective about how Fosse lived and worked. And you don't get any of that. I think that's why, a year after I read this book, I'm still struggling with it. I still have all of these complicated feelings and emotions because I didn't have any way of getting them out. It will be interesting to see how deeply the TV show goes into any of this, and if it does at all. And I'm hopeful that it provides more resolution than the book did, because I really need a way to exercise these demons that the book gave me and didn't do anything to alleviate. So if you think you can stomach the descriptions of what I've talked about in this review, then I will cautiously recommend this book to you. Just know that there won't be any conclusion at the end. If you don't think you can deal with it, then I recommend you stay away at all costs, and I understand. I will say that if you can stomach it, this book does serve as a really good launching pad for discussions about the current conversations about Me Too and Time's Up and how conversations have changed, and we're really trying to address a lot of the things that Bob Fosse got away with. That's it for today. Be sure to subscribe if you want more. You know how to do that. Tomorrow I'm going to have an update to my 2019 reading goals, and the day after that I'm going to share a list of books related to that reading goal. I'm very excited to share both of those with you, so again, subscribe if you want to hear about that, and until then, happy reading.